The time is now 7 p.m. and I'm going to call to order the Planning and Economic Development Committee to be held on Tuesday, July 16, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Alderman Moran, our chairman, is on Zoom tonight, so I will be your presiding officer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman at Large Melbourne Moran Jr.
I'm here. I am in Sandy, Oregon, on business. I'm alone in my room. Two of my children are next door in the living room.
Alderman Derek Tebow is here. Alderman Ernest A. Jetty.
Here.
Alderman at Large Ben Clemens.
Here.
Alderman Tyler Gouveia, Vice Chair, Acting Chair tonight.
I am here.
Also in attendance, we have Alderman at Large Lori Wilshire on Zoom, and Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director, Paul Shea, Executive Director, Great American Downtown, and Morgan A. Hollis, Esquire.
So first up on the agenda tonight, we have the public hearing of O-24-002, amending the zoning map by rezoning land situated south of Burke Street and east of Inglis Street, north of Salmon Brook, and west of a line running north and south perpendicular to Burke Street, which is 450.20 feet easterly of the intersection of Major Drive and Burke Street from C Urban Residential RC to C Urban Residential with Mixed Use Overlay District. So we will open it up. Is there anybody here who would like to speak or present on this beforehand? We open it up.
Acting Chair Gouveia, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Sam Durfee, manager of the planning department here. This legislation is being brought forward for the purpose of affecting a site plan for the redevelopment of what you see at Major Drive here today. I'll let the applicant and the team speak to the details of the project, but we here at the planning department, this actually received a favorable recommendation at the planning board last Thursday. We're supportive of this legislation to rezone. This is a mixed use overlay. You may be familiar, we've done this a number of times across the city. Essentially it allows the planning board to modify some of the dimensional regulations, in particular as this development requires density is the key dimensional regulation at play here. You know, this is right in line with the goals and objectives of the Imagine Nashua Master Plan. And before we go forward with our full comprehensive rezoning, we are, you know, equipped to make these modifications as we need to when the private development sector necessitates some slight changes based on where the market is right now. So I will turn it over to the applicant and the team. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Morgan Hollis. I'm an attorney with Gottesman & Hollis, 39 East Pearl Street in Nashua. And I'm here this evening. I represent the the Nashua Housing and Development Authority. They are the owner of Maynard Homes in Vaggie Village, which makes up the vast majority of the area, which is the subject of the legislation before you. I'm also here representing its development partner, Tremont Development Partners, LLC. This group has partnered up before on the prior development of the former Bronstein Apartments, now Monahan Manor. I'm here speaking in support, but I wanted to provide some relevant background of how this piece of legislation came to come before you. This developed early on with the Nashua Housing and Development Authority realizing the need to upgrade Maynard Homes and Vaggie Village housing. This is the housing which is subsidized and affordable housing located off of Burke Street, which is near the it's near Salmon Brook, but the former Ingersoll Rand IMCO development for those who've been around a long time. But this project has, this particular development of housing has been there since the 50s, and the authority did some analysis and realized there's a need to upgrade and redevelop this property. They did a full cost-benefit analysis on the property of bringing everything up to modern standards, excuse me, and determined after this third-party independent study was published that it was best for all to essentially remove the existing buildings and replace them with modern buildings. how could they maximize the number of units and maximize the amount of affordable housing that's provided by the authority, became the subject of months of deliberations and discussions with the City of Nashua staff and various politicians and other stakeholders, as well as discussions with those that live in this particular development, and even ended up with a presentation before the abutters. Following a series of talks with the city staff, a plan for upgrading and increasing the density on the site was put forward. The problem was that this is located in an RC zone, and the RC zone has 12.5 units per acre as the maximum capacity for density. After further talks with the city, a plan was developed, and the applicant met with the residents, received some feedback from the residents, and determined what would be a good redevelopment plan, taking into consideration concerns with the neighbors and concerns raised by the residents about size and density of the buildings, locations of the buildings. The plan was downsized from its original number of units of 359 down to 274, and 646 parking spaces, paved parking spaces, to 447. It also reduced 5 stories down to 3- and 4-story buildings, and moved the buildings located along Ingle Street closer to the center, leaving open space to the outside. So this plan was then evaluated and determined it could not go forward under the current zoning. So there were options available as to how to address this concern, and the best strategy developed in cooperation with the city was to present some legislation to the Board of Aldermen to see whether or not they were in agreement that this type of development, this density of this site in this area would make sense to turn over to the planning board. Right now, because of the zoning, it would end up at the zoning board first, and then, if successful, to the planning board. But with the mixed-use overlay, as Sam mentioned, it's been done successfully in several parts of the city, notably Monahan Manor, also out on Amherst Street, and then there's a project at Pine, development at Pine and Lake Street. The mixed-use overlay zone is built into the current zoning ordinance, and it covers certain zones in this city, one of which is the downtown zone. It does not cover the RC zone, and the proposal wasn't to have it cover all RC zones. But in this particular RC zone located off of Burke Street, which you can see by the plan, shaded in purple, almost all of the RC zone is made up of the two developments, what's known as Maynard Homes and Vaggie Village. Currently, the only redevelopment plan in place and being put forward is going to be for Maynard Homes, but Vaggie Village would follow, hopefully. The mixed-use overlay, if this zoning that's before you were to be passed, would essentially allow the planning board to decide what is an appropriate density, what are the appropriate dimensions, what's the appropriate landscaping, and it would be more of an entire package being presented, discussed, weighed in, neighbors would weigh in, residents would weigh in, and it would all be before the planning board where the city really wants it to be. In the meantime, a site plan has been developed in anticipation that the zoning would pass and that it would move forward and be allowed to go under the mixed-use overlay district. And of course, in Nashua, you have to submit a site plan 6 to 8 weeks in advance of when the hearing date's going to be, so that all the departments have a chance to vet it. So it isn't that we have the cart before the horse, it's almost the simultaneous movement forward. And this site plan has been submitted and is being vetted by the various departments, and every department in the city will weigh in on what they think of the site plan, and you folks are going to weigh in on what you think of the zoning. We're optimistic that this legislation would pass, but we do need a positive recommendation out of this committee this evening. As I said, the area itself is RC, And aside from several very nice homes that are in the immediately adjacent to this development along the street, I think there are 4 or 5 single-family homes within the RC district. Those are non-conforming, but they're pre-existing non-conforming. Aside from them, the entire zone is made up of Nashua Housing Authority property. Immediately adjacent, if you look to the plan on the board, and those homes are on right in that upper left-hand corner of the purple area, the RC area. And then there's one home almost on Burke Street, almost in the center, right at the corner of Major and Burke. Immediately to the right of this area is the industrial zone, and part of that industrial zone is a development known as Wagner Court for elderly housing. That also is a very dense residential development, but it's located in the industrial zone. This proposal is to only address the RC zone, not to address any of the industrial zone, not to address any of the RB zone which surrounds it. The process, as you know, is you will have a public hearing, listen to the public, then you have to make your decision this evening. I think it may be worth some foreshadowing for this committee to have a sense of what's being presented before the planning board, because if you were to endorse or vote positively for this, and if it were to pass by the aldermen, you probably want to see what's in the works at the moment. So, Mr. Chair, with some leeway here, I would ask if I might call up Hayner Swanson, Jim Petropoulos of Hayner Swanson, to quickly run through the present site plan, which is pending before the city. Thank you.
Without objection.
Thank you, Morgan. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Jim Petropoulos. I'm a professional engineer with Hayner Swanson, doing business at 3 Congress Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. And like Morgan, I too am representing Nashua Housing and Redevelopment and Tremont Development Corporation. And as Morgan said, he would like me to present give you a feel for what is in store and what will be presented to the planning board next month. I'm not sure who's controlling the screen, but maybe we would start. I did submit an aerial. There you go. Okay. So what we're looking at with the aerial is currently a GIS map of the existing Maynard Homes campus. You will see the public streets that run through it. Spalding Street, Major Drive actually is kind of a horseshoe-shaped road. And as Morgan alluded to, Vaggie Drive is also located to the right, and they're in the kind of the brownish colored roofs. Maynard Homes makes up 110 units currently. They are 2-story units in multifamily buildings, and they have approximately 222 parking spaces within their parking lots. They also enjoy on-street parking within Spalding and Major Drive. The property itself is fairly flat, sandy soils. There are no wetlands upon the subject site, even though we're in close proximity to Salmon Brook that you see to the south. If we go to the next screen, please, thank you. So what is being proposed is to redevelop the Maynard Homes development into 6 multi-story, multifamily buildings that will contain 274 residential units and 447 parking spaces. Some key elements to the plan will include the discontinuance of those public streets that are located within the property. This is about a 13.9 acre property that you're seeing in the green highlight. Building 3, which is located in the center of the site on the left side of the buildings that run north-south, will contain a community room for the entire complex. It will also include a Head Start young child education program within that building. There are multiple outdoor recreation areas that will include community garden, tot lots, areas for athletics, and areas for outdoor grilling. The property will comply with open space for the city. What's unique about the project is it'll be built really in 2 phases. You might see a red line through there, the top 4 buildings, the 2 along Burke Street and the 2 that run north-south will be included in Phase 1. And while Phase 1 is under construction, you can only imagine they need to relocate residents, demolish Phase 1, build Phase 1, bring residents back, and then do this, lather, rinse, repeat on Phase 2. So this is a fairly lengthy project, probably a 3 to 4 year project that would start in 2025. And this approach is quite similar to what was just done at Bronstein Manor, Monahan Manor. So we'll go into much more detail at the planning board level. Adam Wagner is with us tonight, but if you scroll to the next slides, Adam is the president of Market Square Architects. He's the leading architect, and he provided us with some nice graphics that I'll just quickly scan through. These are using architectural techniques that actually show perspectives from within the development. That one would be within those 2 buildings, buildings 3 and 4. And if you scroll down, there's actually a couple others. Similar in character to the buildings that were just built at Monahan Manor. Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but again, we wanted to try to give you a feel for what the redevelopment project might look like.
Thank you. All right, any clarifying questions from members of the committee? Just let's try to keep it to clarifying. We can debate the more nuts and bolts if we want at the next one. Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question, I know that Vaggie Village is senior housing right now. Is this Maynard Homes, is that a certain type of housing currently?
It's my understanding, sir, it's not age restricted.
Okay, is it low income, regular income, affordable?
Yes.
What's it planning to be? Any changes to that at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else from any members? Alderman Jettie.
Thank you. So, I don't know if I understood correctly, but it sounded like tonight we're dealing with what is now Maynard Homes, and there was reference to Vaggie Village. Is the plan to do the same thing in Vaggie Village at a future date?
That is the plan, and Vaggie Village is part of the request for the mixed-use overlay district, because currently it sits on the same property right now.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to go back to the first plan, the zoning plan, the parcel map, yeah. So that's the current RC zone. It includes both Maynard Homes and Vaggie Village, because it's currently within the RC zone now. So that zone does not change. Morgan was saying that we're not going to the east to pick up industrial land. We're not going to the north or the west to pick up RB land. It's Maynard Homes, it's Vaggie, it's a couple homes located on Burke in the corner of Ingalls, and then a portion of the city property to the south.
Okay. And you mentioned Phase 1 and Phase 2. Which is what's Phase 1 and what's Phase 2?
Yeah, if we go back to our concept plan, thank you. So Phase 1 is a little more than half the project. It includes 4 of the 6 buildings. If you look closely, there's a red line that works through there. The approach is to keep the residents south of that line currently existing and currently in their homes while Phase 1 is occurring, and then we would move to Phase 2. Phase 1 is to the north. It's 4 buildings and parking, and then we would move to the south and do the remaining 2 buildings and the parking. So it's logistically just a way to build the project while to keep residents there.
Okay. And one, I think, last question. So what we're seeing here, the green, the 6 buildings, that's all Maynard,
Yes,
and to the east of that is Vaggie Village,
correct.
and although we're rezoning it, you're asking to rezone it now. Vaggie Village would be a project at some future time.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from any of the members of the committee? Alderman Wiltshire, I know this is your legislation. Anything you would like to add before we take testimony?
No, I'd just like to add that this is very much needed housing, and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority has proven themselves with the Bronstein project, so I'm hoping this project gets your support. Thank you.
All right, so we will open up the testimony portion. So anybody testimony in favor, please rise, name and address. Seeing none, I will now take testimony in opposition. Please rise, name and address.
My name's Ken Moget. I live at 58 Burke Street. I've lived there for over 4 decades. I worked at Ingersoll Rand in its heyday, 1,200 plus people. The neighborhood, to increase the density by a factor of 3 would be a mistake. The traffic mitigation alone Burke Street's a fast road. I live across the street, sit on my front steps and watch traffic. The number of people texting and driving, the number of people rolling through the major drive intersections, it's just, it boggles the mind. You know, for a neighborhood with children around, I just don't understand what people are thinking in general. Having said that, the infrastructure itself, wastewater, there's a big problem in the neighborhood west of Ingalls Street, where some houses have gate valves. When the stormwater becomes unmanageable, they have to close off their septic. They can't use their toilets. The city installed those, so it's an acknowledged problem. I just don't appreciate the increase in the neighborhood. The density for such a small area is a problem in the making that others are going to have to deal with years from now. So I am, on the record, opposed to the increased density. However, having said that, I am in favor of redevelopment of the existing buildings. It's far cheaper to rebuild than to bring these electrically and plumbing and everything else. I know there's problems on the back buildings where there's been storage backups and things of that nature. Just, if it could be pared down a little, that's great. To rezone it to multi-purpose, somebody gave the numbers, 12 per acre, whatever that means. What does mixed use increase it to? That wasn't made clear. Once it's rezoned, is it a free-for-all for Vaggie Village 5, 10 years from now? My concerns are over the long term as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, testimony in opposition? Okay, seeing none, I will then again call for testimony in favor.
Yes, for the record of the public hearing, my name is Morgan Hollis. I'm an attorney at Gottesman and Hollis, 39 East Pearl Street here in Nashua. And I'm representing the Nashua Housing and Redevelopment Authority, as well as its partner, Tremont Development LLC, and Tremont Development Partners LLC. Let me just sort of address some of the concerns raised by the opposition. We are not quite tripling the density from what it is, and 12.5 acres on a 13-acre property would allow an increase of the density from where it is today up, but just not to the level that we're seeking of the 274. That's a number. That's a number that's on the current site plan. That has really nothing to do with the ordinance that's before you. The ordinance before you places the determination of what the density will be in the hands of the planning board, not in a zoning ordinance. The planning board will look at the plan. As you know, there are some parcels that can accommodate density. There are some areas in the city that can accommodate density, and there are some that can't. Even though zoning may allow it, it just doesn't function well. But in this instance, we believe that this plan, which has been reduced after our meeting with the neighbors significantly, we believe that this plan could survive, and we're going to have our day before the planning board if this legislation passes. If it doesn't pass, the density really can't be done out there. the redevelopment can't be done. So I just want to assure the neighbors that this is not the real last forum. They're going to have a forum where all of the questions and issues that have been raised by the concerned citizen this evening can be addressed before the planning board, and they will weigh those issues, as they always do. Traffic will be one of those issues. We've been studying the traffic. We have some, we've been coordinating with the traffic engineer. Again, that's going to be a site plan issue before the planning board, where there'll be a public hearing. That, by the way, that public hearing is August 1st, correct? Yeah, August 1st, Thursday, so make sure you're there, August 1st. As to the wastewater problem, rather than get into it this evening, I'll just say that we have been working with the city. We think that this redevelopment, if we're allowed to go forward, we have to address that. The city has to address it, and we have a plan to address it, and that'll be presented at the site plan. As to Vaggie Village, yes, we're rezoning the entire parcel, so it opens up opportunity. We don't know what that means for sure. We don't know what the density would be. Again, it would be in the planning board's hands to see what could happen. But this is an amazing opportunity to allow the planning board, the public, the residents, and the applicant to proceed forward with something new and to increase the number of affordable units in this house, in this city. So we would urge passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else testimony in favor?
My name is Bob Keating at 5 Coburn Woods, and I'm a member of Granite State Organizing Project. And one of the things I want to highlight about support of this project, and I appreciate a neighbor speaking about the concerns I had, that Granite State Organizing Project has been involved with Major Drive residents from the beginning of this proposal, as we were involved with Bernstein and now Moynihan Manor. So we've been following this all the way. Many of the residents in Major Drive were concerned about the density, and I think, I'll say everyone here knows, but I think for the record that we think that the people who experience the most are the residents in Major Drive. For the need of affordable housing, which the Nashua Redevelopment and Housing Authority has addressed, is the balance that the people who are experience most the impact is the people who are living there now. They're going to be relocated if the project goes through. They'll be away for 2 years. They'll have to live in another place. They'll have the option to be able to come back. And the Redevelopment Authority really worked very hard. They wanted a higher density because they're trying to say, we need so much housing. We all know that. You can't pick up the newspaper without it. So we feel confident that the Redevelopment Authority and housing is working very, very closely with both the neighbors and the residents themselves to come up with the best balance that is going to be disruptive for many people. But the outcome, if you look at what Moynihan Manor is that we've got 216 on a 4-acre parcel. This is 274 on a 13-acre parcel, and that's right smack dab in the center of our city. So I think going forward, there's obviously going to be a lot of negotiation and trying to move things, but there's no simple answer to be able to address the multiple needs that we have here, including the local neighbors and residents. So I ask for your consideration to move this forward to the next stage. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Anybody else in favor? All right, seeing none, I will call testimony in opposition. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on O-24-002 at 7:28 p.m. And then I will be opening the regular meeting at 7:28 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman at Large, Melbourne Moran Jr.
Yes, I am here on Zoom in Sandy, Oregon, alone in my room, and my children are next door watching TV.
Alderman Derek Tebow is here. Alderman Ernest A. Jetty.
Here.
Alderman at Large Ben Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Tyler Govea, Vice Chair, Acting Chair tonight.
Here.
We also have Sam Durfee, Planning Manager, Paul Shea, Executive Director, Great American Downtown, and Morgan A. Hollis, Esquire.
All right, so I will open up public comment on anything being acted upon. in this
Point of order,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair?
Vice Chair. President Wilshire.
Absolutely. If we could have President Wilshire to the, also in attendance.
Yeah, sorry, President Wilshire is also here.
Thank you. I would have been there tonight with this being my legislation brought forward. However, I am recovering from COVID, so I was unable to attend. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you. Public comment. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee? Seeing none. I have talked to Executive Director Shea. He has graciously agreed to let us take the new business legislation first, and then we will get to his presentation on the Great American Downtown. So without objection, I would like to take the communication and end the new business.
Okay, we have communication from Sam Durfee, Planning Manager, referral from the Board of Aldermen on Ordinance O-24-022, amending the zoning map by rezoning land situated south of Burke Street and east of Ingle Street, north of Salmon Brook, and west of a line running north and south perpendicular to Burke Street, which is 450.20 feet easterly of the intersection of Major Drive and Burke Street from C Urban Residence RC to C Urban Residence with Mixed Use Overlay District RC/MU.
There being no objection, I will accept and place the communication on file. Seeing none. Unfinished business?
None,
New business resolutions?
none.
New business ordinances?
We have O-24-022, amending the zoning map by rezoning land situated south of Burke Street and east of Ingle Street, north of Salmon Brook, and west of a line running north and south perpendicular to Burke Street, which is 450.20 feet easterly of the intersection of Major Drive and Burke Street from C Urban Residence RC to C Urban Residence with Mixed Use Overlay District RC/MU. I'd like to make a motion and to recommend final passage by roll call.
Absolutely. Discussion? Alderman Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I understand the concerns of the neighbor who spoke this evening and some other folks who've reached out to me. But in order for this, we need more public housing is the bottom line. And in order for the plan that was sort of presented tonight to go forward, we need to rezone this area. The plan that was presented this evening is a compromise from the original plan, which called for a lot more units to be there. And so I think, the compromise has started. I'm not going to say that it's completely over, but it has started. And in order to move the discussion forward and past to the next stages, we have to do something with the zoning. So, it's my opinion that the planning board has served the city well in the past. They have listened to the concerns of citizens, and so hopefully some of the issues that were addressed can be discussed at the planning board, and those things can be mitigated. So in the spirit of compromise, which I truly believe this is, that's the reason I signed on as a co-sponsor, and it's the reason I'm going to support it this evening.
Alderman Moran.
Thank you. I concur with Alderman Clemens. I think this is a great idea. I think many people know how I'm supportive of overlay districts to expand housing opportunities. And this is a public housing opportunity for low-income workforce housing, which is much different than some of the affordable housing units that we've seen develop throughout the city. And it's much needed, and I thank President Wilshire for bringing it forward. So I would definitely support this today. I'll support it at the full board. My only question is, I know that we had testimony in favor that responded to the member of the public's concerns, but is it possible for the, Mr. Durfee to respond from the city's side versus the developer's side?
Mr. Durfee?
Happy to. I'm sorry, Alderman Moran, could you restate your question for me?
Yes, if you could, I know we heard the developer discuss and respond to the member of the public's concerns, but out of fairness, that could be seen as a one-sided response. If you could respond to that person's concerns about wastewater, traffic, tripling of the area, et cetera, from the city's perspective.
Certainly. So I think that the traffic and the wastewater questions are products of the density. So I'll address the wastewater and the traffic directly. We've been in conversations with the applicant, but also the Division of Public Works regarding wastewater. We've come up with a relatively creative solution. This is a known problem, as the member of the public stated. And taking an assessment of the existing infrastructure in the neighborhood, working with City Engineer Hudson, the idea of expanding and providing a oversized drain pipe that would outflow into, I believe it's a machinery pond, would allow for the broader neighborhood to tie into this pipe and provide some drainage relief, with the idea of helping to relieve some of the peak flow problems that the neighborhood is experiencing right now. So that's the approach with wastewater. Regarding traffic, the applicant has provided a traffic impact report, as is standard with any planning board application, assessing the traffic demands and the impacts on various intersections. And we can get into the study area if you like, but that would be, I think, covered in more depth at the planning board level. But essentially, this does not actually rise to the level of requiring a traffic study. We have thresholds, but looking at really the peak hour demands, I believe the threshold is 100 trips per peak hour, and this is falling right around 64 to 66 at the peak hours. So the details of that are in the traffic study, which we'd be more than happy to provide. But I think part of that is just looking at how it's spread out over the network, and assessing different times at which residents may be coming and going from the development. That helps to lessen the impact. But conversations are still ongoing regarding traffic, and will certainly be further fleshed out by the time we reach the planning board.
Follow up?
Yes, Alderman Moran.
Thank you. And this city is supportive of this change, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Alderman Wilshire.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Here I am.
There we go.
It's the COVID. I'm going to blame the COVID. I just want to agree with what Alderman Clemens had to say about compromise. What's coming before us, it is compromise. The Housing Authority has met many times with the residents that live there and the neighbors, and listened to their concerns. Certainly, with the waiting lists at the National Housing and Redevelopment Authority, as they are, I believe there are 3,000 families on the waiting list for public housing and over 4,000 on the waiting list for Section 8 units. And I'm sure they wanted to get more housing in there because there's such a need. However, they did listen to the residents, they did compromise, and I think this is, a good number. Would I have liked to have seen more? Yes, to get some of those people off the waiting list, but I think it's also important that they did listen to the residents that they have. And I think the residents that are there are getting comfortable with this. They've been working with the Granite State Organizing Project. They've been following what's been going on at Bronstein, now Monahan Manor, and realized that it's not going to be easy to move, and but the Housing Authority made it so seamless for them. I mean, they had professionals come in and relocate people and bring people back. It was just really, I gotta say, I gotta give them an A+ on the effort they put in, the folks at Bronstein. So this is a compromise. I do appreciate what Alderman Clements had to say about the compromise, and hoping that you will support this in the effort to bring more affordable housing into the city. Thank you.
Alderman Tippett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So question to Manager Durfee. Is this will this be managed by the National Housing Authority? Is it now, and will it be in the future?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So my comment to that, and I mean, I am concerned about a few things. I've seen the way they manage Arell Manor firsthand, and they may do a good job with the Bronsteins, but they do not do a good job with Arell Manor at all. So I always have that concern. So as somebody that is a citizen that either lives there or lives around there, when this goes to the planning board, I would ask all those questions, and I would make sure, and I will tell you, and Mr. Durfee's heard me say this probably a bunch of times, every traffic study that's ever done says there's no traffic problem. I've yet to see one that tells me there's gonna be a traffic problem. That's one thing. The other thing is, it always comes and says, oh, law says we don't need to do one, but we're gonna do one, and we're gonna tell you there's no traffic problem. You always hear that. It doesn't matter where the project is, how big it is. I've always heard that in Nashua so far in my 2.5 years here, and I sat on the planning board as an alternate for the last couple before this year. So even in the busiest places, it comes back, no traffic issues. So I want to make sure the citizens that do go there ask those right questions and make sure things that are not working now get fixed, or at least are on the docket to get fixed. I don't think it's our job here to make a determination on those things. I think that's the planning board. Our determination is whether or not we're going to make it easier to build different things than that by rezoning it. And I think we probably have to do that. I think that's the right thing to do. It'll be up to the planning board and others to decide how it all looks and how it works in that environment. I hope it turns out to be a good thing, because we do need housing there, and I hope it's something good for the community and good for the area, not something that's going to be something hurtful to the citizens that already live there. And I hope maybe there's a benefit that some of these things get fixed that currently aren't fixed now, because they're going to do this. So that's what I'm hoping. And so for the zoning piece, I'm gonna agree with this legislation and vote for it tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Jett.
Thank you. So, you know, I almost hate to bring this up, but I feel obligated to do so. So, I don't know if Mr. Durfee would be the right person to answer this question, but if the aldermen do this change and make this change this from a RC to mixed-use overlay district, I have no reason to, question the motives or, the intentions or, what might happen. I have great respect for the Housing Authority and everyone involved in this project, but once we change this to a mixed-use overlay district, there's really nothing that obligates the owner and the developer of this property to do what they've said they're going to do tonight. Is there, Mr. Durfee? So just to narrow my question, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but wouldn't it be possible for them to, sell this property to somebody else, and somebody else comes in and does, the mixed-use overlay district, provides for high-rise buildings. they've agreed to make the buildings, to, certain stories now, and to, reduce it to a certain, number, but, they could sell the property, someone else could come in, and as long as they meet the requirements of the overlay district, they could do something entirely different, subject only to the oversight of the planning board. Is that correct? Or not? What protection is there?
Sure. So I would
against
say,
that.
in theory, yes, that is an accurate characterization. However, I think it's important, to recognize that it's really impossible to overstate the amount of compromise and work that has gone into developing this plan. Nashua Housing Redevelopment Authority is an institution in the city. They've been around for a long time. I think they're going to remain here for a long time, and they've been providing a much needed service for many years. So while I say that with the idea of, I don't expect them to turn around and sell the property, having it secured a rezoning, now making this a much more marketable piece of property. They've invested heavily into preliminary design, concept planning, architectural renderings, a lot of time meeting with the city to come to this proposal. Is that all a ruse to just secure rezoning and then flip the property? I would think not. But I think that it's really important to recognize the work that they have already put in to bring this project forward. And of course, the rezoning is very much a part of that.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I don't expect them to do anything different either. I'm just asking the question, and I guess I'm pointing out that, once we change this to a mixed overlay district, there's no guarantee that what we think is going to happen is actually going to happen. And I don't know how we could protect against that. I don't know if it's possible. Do you?
Well, so no, it isn't, because what this committee is tasked with is evaluating, this proposal of a rezoning. The site plan, the details around the development, that is the jurisdiction of the planning board. And of course, the planning staff will evaluate any and all projects. We always have recommendations, comments, recognizing, the feedback that we have already heard through the applicant in regards to their interfacing with the community and understanding what their concerns are, the residents on site. I would expect that whether it is this project or another one in the future, to come forward in a way that would meet the character of the neighborhood. And I think that all of this needs to be stated in the context of the ongoing comprehensive land use code update that we're working on, that is going to be very neighborhood character and context sensitive, so that there are coming regulations in the future that will really help to guide development like this in the future. So while, yes, theoretically this rezoning would allow for redevelopment of some kind, obviously subject to planning board oversight and approval, there are future regulations that would be more prescriptive in the type of development that could occur here and elsewhere in the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, before I call a vote, just gonna make a few comments. So looking at what the purview of what our committee does and what we do as a board as a whole, looking at the decision we're making tonight, which is the rezoning, I feel this is a appropriate use, and I feel this is a really good project, and getting to see kind of the product of what this change will do, I think was very helpful. But either way, I think switching this to that mixed use is a good idea. It's just better for the community. We obviously need housing. We talk about it a lot in this chamber. And I have full hope in the planning board that they'll do their end. I don't feel it's our job to micromanage or kind of overlook what they do. They're going to do their job, and we're going to do ours. And I feel this is a very appropriate piece of legislation that will benefit the city. So I'll be supporting it. Alderman Clemens.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I also don't think that the gentlemen here in this room are going to risk their reputations tonight either by coming and turning around with something completely different than what they've presented tonight. And I also don't think that the Housing Authority is going to do that either. So I'm confident with moving forward.
Nobody else? Nobody in the chamber, nobody on Zoom? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Tebow votes yes. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Moran.
Yes.
And Alderman Govea.
Yes.
We have 5 yeas, no nays. Motion carries.
Excellent. So I will thank everybody for coming tonight, and thank you everybody who spoke during the public period, public comment period, and public testimony period for their input. We will move on now to our discussions, and I will recognize Executive Director Paul Shea of the Great American Downtown and thank him once again for letting me bump him down the agenda so we could take care of this business in front of us. Absolutely. Yeah, there's one right on that corner where, yep.
You don't have an HDMI, do you?
Should be.
I thought, isn't there one
Yeah, I
there?
think there's one on both sides. There should be maybe under the desk. Yeah.
Oh, it's not
Is it over here?
No, it's over here. If you
Only one though?
It's over
Yeah, I thought we had them on both sides.
If you want to, move here.
Oh,
Yeah. It used to be there. Weird.
Left desk. There we go.
Awesome. The floor is yours.
thank you so much. My name is Paul Shea. I'm the Executive Director for Great American Downtown, and I'm very glad to be with you here tonight. Appreciate the invitation. I'm here to kind of touch base. I have served in this role previously, and I returned towards the end of October last year, and I'm very excited to be back. I like to come before the Planning and Economic Development Committee at least once a year to kind of present on what we do and where we're headed. And that's what this is all about. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that promotes economic and cultural vibrancy in downtown Nashua through creative marketing and great community events. Our mission is to provide coordination, collaboration, and partnerships that unify the entire Nashua community around a common vision for an attractive downtown that is vibrant, viable, and truly reflects the character of our city. We were founded in 2002 in a partnership between the City of Nashua, downtown business owners, and community members who are passionate about the promise of our downtown. We are actually a repurposed organization. We were previously the Downtown Development Corporation. In the 1980s, it was established and then repurposed as part of Nashua's and a broader national effort to establish Main Street programs. We are governed and our operations are dictated by a board of directors. Tommy Parnell is our board president. He's a downtown resident and a software developer. Michael Baum is our vice president. He works in the home services industry. He's also a downtown resident. Kathy Snyder is our second vice president. She works in real estate. Kathy Donaher of Bar Harbor Bank is our treasurer. Jen McCormick of the Nashua Public Library is our secretary. We also have a representative from Nashua Police Department, Lieutenant Tim McIsaac. Representative from the city, Director Liz Hannum, Economic Development. Matt Jackson, who also works in home services at Baird Homes. Alyssa Gager McQuaid, she is in real estate. Andrew Paella and J.L. Sweeney are both in law. So that's me. Paul Shea, the executive director. This June, we also started to staff up. We are in a bit of a rebuilding year. We hired Cam Dion, who works for us up to 30 hours a week. Cam is our programs and office coordinator. He has a lot of background in graphic design. He has also a lot of background in community events. He's been a really great addition to the team. He is also our market day coordinator at the Nashville Farmers Market. Our communications and finance intern, Vedant Patil, he's a Nashville High student. He was referred to us by the Chamber of Commerce, and he's with us for July and August. He recently, along with his team, won a competition with Enterprise Bank that was basically like a Shark Tank type of thing. Very inspiring young man and a great work ethic, and he's working on a couple projects for us this summer. We also have a part-time support staff, Nico Carlin. Nico works at the farmers market with Cam each Sunday to help ensure that the market operates smoothly and that our SNAP EBT operations go very nicely. So for a long time, we've been known for a handful of things: the Nashua Farmers Market, the Taste of Downtown, the Winter Holiday Stroll, as well as downtown marketing and events. We have grown over the years. During COVID, it presented a lot of challenges for a events-based organization, and our programming scaled back a good bit. We are working to bring some things back this coming year and looking to next year as part of our efforts to rebuild the extent to which we impact the community and the quality of our programs. The Downtown Scarecrows are a very well-loved program, which we will be bringing back this fall. Typically involves about 30 or so creatively decorated scarecrows up and down Main Street from downtown businesses and area nonprofits, and it's a really great way to show community spirit, and a lot of creativity goes into these. People like to come down and check them out. This year, we revived a program that we started to roll out during COVID as an initiative to contribute to cultural vibrancy while social distancing was the thing. And this program, Sidewalk Saturday Sessions, Saturday Sidewalk Sessions, involves performers each Saturday out on Main Street. It's free for the community to enjoy and adds to the early afternoon ambiance downtown. That program began in June, and it was due to be a 10-week program supported by the Downtown Improvement Committee with an allocation of $3,000, 100% of which goes to the performing artists. So that gives us a budget for that program for 10 weeks. We brought in a sponsor, Granite State Credit Union, whose sponsorship has afforded us the ability to extend it an additional 10 weeks. So instead of ending the first week in August, the program will continue until mid-October when it starts to get chilly. This has been well received. It's a very nice thing, and we are looking also to expand to a secondary location. So right now we're at 143 Main Street. We've got a whole kind of operation set up with Judge Bells, where each week they bring out ADA compliant cable ramps so that we can run a power cord across the sidewalk, and are very accommodating to the performers. But we would like to, now that we have a sponsor, look to have a secondary location to kind of spread the love. It's being sought after by a number of businesses that would like to also host. We produce a newsletter, The Downtowner. We have a gentleman, George, who contracts for us to assist in cultivating content from different organizations and businesses. This goes out each week. There's kind of a secondary newsletter that also goes out each week that features what's happening at the farmers market during season. This year, oh, I spelled solar wrong. So the
That was
Soleil,
a brand name.
it's French. It's the Solaire Eclipse glasses. So the solar eclipse glasses, we did a solar eclipse glasses giveaway. We gave away a total of 400 pairs of glasses. No, excuse me, 600 pairs of glasses. We gave away all of them. So it was a big draw. We set up down by the Main Street Bridge. We had our downtown t-shirts for sale and a good line down the bridge of people kind of hanging out waiting for the eclipse to happen. We had an eclipse themed playlist with songs like Total Eclipse of the Heart that we played throughout. And I'm so glad that we did this because it's little things like this that bring people together for an experience. And I had the kids there. I was thinking about going home after the glasses were distributed, but we stuck around, and it was really nice. It was nice to kind of witness this in community as opposed to in solitude or just with my family, and it was a great experience. We host a chocolate stroll each year that we are continually looking to improve and grow. Typical attendance is around 400, which we were on par with that this year. And next year, we may look to, we're kind of exploring the possibility of doing a film screening in tandem with this. I don't know if it will be feasible or not, but we can get into that a little bit more in a moment. We're also partnering with Fort Gage Flowers and Gifts for a Gerald Dickens performance of A Christmas Carol at the National Performing Arts Center. This will take place the Friday after Thanksgiving, and we are looking to do a sellout crowd. Some of the proceeds from ticket sales do go to our organization, and we hope that folks will come out and join us. Plaid Friday will be that same day. Plaid Friday, again, it's another event that's about 400 or so in attendance, with the winter holiday stroll taking place on Saturday. We are very involved that day, and we were looking for something to do to kind of kick off the holiday season at retail that would be somewhat similar to the idea of Small Business Saturday, but not be on the day of the big event. This has been well received. Businesses offer discounts and activities, and we do a tote bag giveaway so that people can carry their purchases around and think about downtown Nashua all year long when they're carrying their stuff to and fro. We hosted in partnership with Judge Bell's Stakeholder Social it was either late April or early May. We're looking to do another one in September. This is an informal, no agenda gathering. So many of us are so busy with our day jobs. Downtown merchants and restaurateurs are busy with kind of managing their business. And the bulk of our interactions are based on an event or stopping by to purchase something. And to create an opportunity for people just to get together and chit chat and get to know each other a little bit outside of the transactional aspects of how we relate to each other, we felt was an important thing to kind of cultivate. And so we're looking to do these at least twice a year. We may increase it to quarterly once we get our office space fully tuned up and are ready to welcome a lot of folks down there. District's art tours. This is something that we're looking to revive. There is an online app that we have contributed content to that has 2 art tours. One of them is translated in Spanish, which we are very excited to offer. And this app basically allows for you to have audio guidance automatically played as you come upon public art downtown. So we have one that is murals, one that is sculptures, and we have some that are in development, a history tour, and we'll look to continue either within the district's platform or find an alternate provider that might be more, a better bang for our buck, so to speak, to port the content to. But those tours are still available right now, and folks can come and just kind of at their leisure check out all of the art that we have. The Nashua Farmers Market, we are up to 23 vendors in total. Some of them are full season, some of them are once a month. I believe at last week's market we had 18 vendors, which is up from 9 on day one. So we're going to look to continue to grow that program. Our vendors are very happy with the market's performance this year. Our maple vendor, as an example, the week before last, he sent a note indicating that it was his highest performing market that he has done. And he's been selling maple syrup and maple products for well over a decade, and that was really nice to hear. So traffic has been great at the market. We're located at the Nashua Public Library, and we are still seeking additional vendors. So if anybody at home is listening and they have a local food business or handmade product business, or other arts like photography, etc., we'd love to hear from you. We've made a very concerted effort this year to deploy good content on social media so that we can take advantage of the organic traffic that generates. We've partnered with Realm of Media Possibilities, Chris Moncato, who is a photographer. And in lieu of market fee for the season, he takes photos each week. We have a system where George, our social media contractor, and Cam work together to have a event on Facebook each week, to have the newsletter each week that has a good list of what people can expect, so that as the market grows, people can be enticed by the wider and wider variety of products. And the photography has been really excellent in that regard. We get a lot of traction, and we have had to do very little paid advertising this year, which in years past, we've really driven a lot of the budget for that program into advertising. But with this kind of clever, for lack of a better word, deployment of photos, we've had a really good response and have cut way down on how much it costs to promote the program. So in development, the folks from City Arts Nashua, Lisa Bissonette, as you may know, City Arts Nashua. Should we wait a moment?
Call Eversource? I don't think we're recording anymore. Joe's recording, but I don't know. Is he all right in there, or did?
Yeah, you want me to go?
Yeah, go check on him, make sure the lightning didn't hit the,
Is the backup generator?
yeah, we probably are on that.
Yeah, what,
Yeah, my cable.
what is that noise?
I mean, should I go off record? I don't know. I don't know what it's
We can
recording.
hold it here for now, then we'll, let's see.
Must be storming out there.
Maybe.
It's hard to tell what, cause they're doing stuff upstairs too, though.
Oh, they are?
Well, I can hear them in the hallway,
Yeah.
unless that's just thunder, I don't think so, though.
Is it supposed to thunder tonight?
Yeah, this storm's coming.
Yeah.
They're already here, just because I know, because working at Eversource, they gave us a heads up. I'm not on call, so.
Oh, Eversource is doing work, or is the?
No,
they
just
give you
the
heads
storms
up?
are coming and be ready for power outages.
Yeah, I heard like gusts of wind, 60 miles an hour, so crazy.
I wonder if Director Cummings is up there finally putting the mayor's pictures on the wall like I asked him to. Said it's a summer project. We're in the summer.
There's no power in parts of Ward 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's not good.
Okay, so
I'm gonna say it's storms, yeah.
Yeah, I have no cell service right now, but I think we got our answer.
Are we,
I'm told that we experienced a power surge
okay.
Yep.
and we lost Zoom
Yeah, okay.
We're back to live,
TV?
so we can continue.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure they found this part interesting on TV.
Executive Director Shea, take it away.
All right. I have AC/DC stuck in my head. All right, so, in development, we were contacted by Lisa Bissonette of City Arts Nashua, which I imagine, as you know, have kind of ended their tour of duty due to the great impact that a lot of the arts organizations in Nashua are having now that fulfills the vision that they had when the group started with City Arts. So Lisa reached out and requested that we consider a continuation of Art Walk, and we will do that in some fashion. I don't know if it will be called Art Walk, but we're working with City Arts, who will provide some financial support for the first iteration of this. So that is in development. We're bringing back a community calendar. So for a time, I think from 2018 to 2020, maybe 21, we had a central community calendar on our website. That went to the wayside during COVID, and I think that year we decided that it wasn't really worth the $800 or so to kind of put this calendar up, which was the cost of the utility. And so we're looking to resurrect that. It's been a really great resource in the past, and it's very nice to have kind of an arts and cultural experience-based calendar for people to go to. Wine Walk is a concept that we are working on. I'm not sure if that will be this year or if it will be something that we roll out for next year. This event will be something somewhat similar to the Taste of Downtown in that we will seek to have wineries set up for sampling in retail locations and have this be a modestly priced ticketed event that will serve as both a fundraiser for the organization as well as a great way to promote local wines and to drive foot traffic into retail and service locations. As I had alluded to, we have been in talks with the Performing Arts Center about the idea of screening films. This may not be a feasible thing for that location, but we're still kind of working on the concept. We have a kind of a second tier. There's already someone who had inquired about the availability of the facility on the weekend in February where the chocolate stroll happens. But the idea that have been kicking around is maybe showing Willy Wonka or something to that effect at the center to kind of broaden the chocolate-themed fun and excitement. For a time, we also hosted a website called experiencenashvalarts.org that was developed in partnership with the Arts Commission. Currently, Cam and our board president, Tommy, are working on rebuilding the structure of that site and getting it over to a server to be kind of given to the National Arts Commission. So it will be kind of a landing space that features all of the great arts and cultural stuff that is happening downtown, and also a great tool for the Arts Commission to engage the community with. Downtownnashua.org. At some point in the next month or so, our web efforts will transition from rebuilding this Experience Nashua art site, which will also have a connection to the community calendar. So there'll be a utility on that site where the arts and culture specific events are kind of parsed out and hosted on that website as well. But downtownnashua.org is in need of a kind of a revitalization, and it needs to be more vibrant, like our downtown. And so once Cam completes the work on Nashua Arts, he'll be transitioning over to that project, which I'm looking forward to. The website definitely needs a little love. Vedant, our summer intern, is currently working on our business inventory. So we keep a list of businesses and their communication information, the day that we can celebrate that it's their 10-year anniversary, and other good information that we can use to both keep in touch with and promote downtown businesses. It has been a little bit since that's gotten an update. That was especially useful during COVID, where we had the ability to, we had just freshly kind of updated this list. So we were very able to communicate resources, information, meetings, and things to businesses. And so we recognize the importance of that information being current. There's also a lot of new businesses that have opened over the last 2 years in downtown. So one of the projects Vedant is working on is getting that all tuned up. We are selling downtown merchandise. We are in need of a refresher. So for this holiday season, we're going to be working with Mint Printworks to develop some new tees and other things for sale that are great to wear, but also serve the secondary purpose of advertising our downtown. I like to wear my downtown stuff when I go on vacation. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, hey, Nashua, I know that place." And it's nice. And so I'm actually wearing one of our kind of older designs now. I usually like to come in a collared shirt, but it's been so hot, so I was just like, t-shirt today. We're also working on our office renovations. So last summer, we had 3, I think 10 by 12 storage units in Clock Tower Place. They had a pipe burst, and they were very gracious to allow us to use that space. It was especially useful when we were operating out of it for the farmers market when it was down on Water Street, on Main, like it was a combination of the Main Street Bridge and Le Parc de Renaissance. And so but to make a long story short, the storage space is flooded and our office was filled wall to wall with stuff from the storage space. We've had Baird Home Solutions in, as well as some great volunteers. I think we had a total of, I think it was like 14 volunteers in one day. They did 2 coats of paint and some of the trim work over the course of 4 hours. It was amazing. So we've painted the walls. We've got a little bit of touch up to do. We've got new furniture in, standing desks for staff, and kind of mobile furniture that allows us to use the space flexibly. So like tables that can fold and be put to the side, but still look like a nice conference table, so that we can open up the floor and work on projects like building scarecrows or things like that. So that's in process. We have a wide audience that we promote our downtown to and bring information to so that they can come and enjoy themselves here. Our Downtowner newsletter has 4,230 subscribers. Facebook, we have a total of 13,700 some odd followers. And on Instagram, at Downtown Nashua, we've got about 4,000. Did I lose a slide? I think I lost a slide. I lost a slide. The slide that I lost says that we have, and maybe it just got shifted down, and we'll get to it and skip it, but in 2023, we generated approximately 2 million impressions to an audience of 172,000 people. So both through paid promotion of content, and most of it is organic. I think we've cut way down now that we have a great audience, and George is doing an excellent job kind of resharing content from downtown businesses. It's a really good reach, and it's a great tool for us to promote the downtown. So we are funded through primarily the City of Nashua sponsors, events, individual contributions. People can go to downtownnashua.org/donate. There should be another line here that says charitable gaming. City of Nashua, so for 2023, the allocation was $50,000 for general operating. That's your FY24. And then total operating actual that year, this past year, was $178,305.65. So in 2023, city support represented approximately 28% of the budget. That number, if you look back to the 2015 to 2016 era, was closer to about 34 to 36%. So we've worked to kind of decrease the overall percentage of our operating that's accounted for by city support. We believe that the city support is kind of a basis for our operating, but it's really, the onus is on us to maximize that through staffing and other initiatives, to, even if there's an increase in funding, have that number be optimized. For 2024, the allocation that was made by the Board of Aldermen, which we greatly appreciate, was $70,000. This is the first increase, I believe, since 2017 or 2018, and it accounts for much of the inflation that has happened since then. This is going to allow us to grow our staff, the programs that we offer, and the office improvements that are going to really create a great impression for sponsors, have a good, clean, and efficient working environment for staff, and kind of just increase the positive energy among our group to really do the good things that we do. Budgeted operating expenses for 2024 are $200,444. The percentage I would anticipate, because that budget was developed before this increase was implemented, the percentage will likely go up for our budget year 24, your fiscal year 25, to that mid-30 mark. And then when we get into 2025, we are going to shoot to get that number back down into the 25 to 28% range, which I believe is totally achievable. The Downtown Improvement Committee this year also made an allotment of $3,000, which we discussed. 100% of that is going directly to performers for the Saturday Sidewalk Sessions program. Charitable gaming at Gate City Casino. Gate City Casino has been a longtime partner of ours since shortly after the establishment of charitable gaming here in New Hampshire. In 2023, we brought in $51,642.12, represents about 28-some odd percent of our general operating budget. In 2024, I like to budget conservatively for this item because there could be storms, there could be something, and we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we have budgeted and we have spent expecting $50,000 or $60,000 and then have that apple cart get upset. So I like to budget conservatively. We've budgeted at $45,000 for this year. There's a fair chance that the actual income will increase due to the bet limit increase. So even with the bet limit increase, and Gate City Casino has kind of changed the operation where there are two charities that are beneficiaries of a week. We do expect to exceed that. It's been really great to see the changes in charitable gaming. It has a big impact on nonprofits like ours, and that results in a lot of good for the community. No. I think I duplicated slides or something here. All right, so this is the bit that I was talking about. The slide should have been further back. I don't know if it got moved around on account of moving to this Mac Keynote app, but anyway. So we've already kind of touched on this. Real impact, we have over 2,000 hours of volunteer service in 2023. This is through different community events, volunteers that come out, performers at the Holiday Stroll. All of the performances at the Holiday Stroll are donated, so that's a big number there. We have approximately 35 to 40 acts at that event. And we're going to be looking to do more community service as we get to a place where our office is all built up, our staff is all built up. I would like to see us revive the spring cleanup day going into next year. That was always a great event. We had usually about 200 people that would come out and do, as the snowbanks melt and the kind of the debris and detritus that has built up in those snowbanks is revealed. It's a big lift, especially on the rail trail, to clean up all of that stuff. And so I think that is an especially impactful thing that we should bring back as we look to past programs that worked really well that would be worth doing again, and things that we would like to do that are new. As an example of economic impact, and as I was sitting here, it occurred to me that the Americans for the Arts Art and Economic Prosperity Calculator that I found was actually the version 5. So every 5 years, and Nashua has participated in this. This is the second iteration of the study that Nashua has participated in. In 2022, they released study number 6. So study number 6 actually has different numbers that are the basis for this calculator, but the version 5 was the first one that came up. In any case, estimated attendance for the holiday stroll based on Placer AI data. So are you all familiar with the Placer AI utility? So the Placer AI data, before that, the holiday stroll was something that we were able to estimate. And now we have a fairly good idea of what actual attendance is like. Estimates over the last 15 years have ranged anywhere from 25 to 35,000. And when we look at the data, it looks like actual attendance for the stroll is somewhere in the 26 to 28,000 territory. The total economic impact based on this calculator is about 856,000. Based on the number 6, and I was plugging it in as I was sitting over here, it's closer to $1 million, maybe about 25,000 short of $1 million. And so when you look at the operation of that event and other events that bring about approximately $30 per person that attends in additional economic activity, from getting a babysitter to getting gas to buying dinner, picking up something nice at a shop, etc. It all really starts to add up. And so this is our biggest event of the year, and of course the economic impact is the biggest. But when you look at events like the Taste of Downtown that are bringing out 600 people, and other events that bring out 400 people, you're looking at economic impact in the tens of thousands of dollars for those events as well. So when you consider what your investment gets you, it's really not about the direct kind of dollar in, dollar out. There's this broader impact of our work, and your support really gives us the opportunity to leverage it to make big things happen, and smaller things throughout the year that all really add up. I speak on at length. I tried to keep this abridged. I appreciate you kind of giving me an audience tonight. But I'd like to know if you have any questions.
Alderman Clements.
Thank you. You didn't mention the summer stroll.
The summer stroll. So the summer stroll is coming up. I hope it is very successful. That event concept kind of came about perhaps at a time when confidence in our organization was not as great as it could be. And I don't know that the original concept for that event involved the expectation that Great American Downtown would be of a great deal of help. And so we are very hopeful that it succeeds. We are also hopeful that we are able to partner in some way going into next year. It's especially important to us that that event is successful where our name is synonymous with the Winter Holiday Stroll. And so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Alderman Jettie.
So, thank you. So I'm going to ask this question, and I guess it's more to give you some feedback from people that have talked to me, and give you an opportunity to kind of answer it. So my understanding, and people who have talked to me have also said this, and we may be wrong, but I remember when I think one of your predecessor organizations was something called the Heart of Nashua.
Destination Downtown is the one that I'm aware of, but yeah.
Okay, well, Heart of Nashua precedes that, I think, but it was basically like a chamber of commerce, but aimed at downtown Nashua as opposed to the city as a whole. And the purpose was to to support downtown businesses, to encourage people to support downtown businesses, and it was organized by downtown businesses, and I think supported entirely by downtown businesses. Now, we've been the city at some point started being a main funder of what became Great American Downtown, and the so the people that have talked to me have said, the people who benefit the most by your great efforts, and I don't mean to diminish your efforts. I think you're doing a great job, and I applaud you. And but people say the Great American Downtown is really benefiting downtown businesses, and why isn't Great American Downtown supported more by downtown businesses? I know when the city, especially during COVID, there was a downturn in the economy, and I could see where the city would be justified in supporting you to help get downtown back on its feet. But I was expecting that the city's role would diminish, and that the merchants themselves, the landlords, the people who get the economic benefit of your efforts, would play a greater role in funding it, and that the city would be able to reduce its role and maybe step out of it completely. But instead, we've added another 20,000, so it's going to be 70,000 this next budget. So I don't want to lose you in in everything I've said. I want to give you an opportunity to answer. I represent Ward 5, and you probably know this because you were recently or still just continue. You are still a resident of that area west of the highway. You're coming back to the other side, but so you probably run into these same people that I have, who don't go anywhere near downtown Nashua. We took our neighbors to a show downtown, and we went to a restaurant downtown, and they drove, and I had to show them how to go from just west of the highway to downtown. They didn't know how to get there. So, and there are a lot of people like that who, work in Massachusetts, for example, and, they get up in the morning and they head out the highway down to Massachusetts, and they think the world is Boston and around Boston. They just sleep in Nashua. So So how do you explain to people like that, you know, the value of Great American Downtown and why the city taxpayers should be supporting Great American Downtown? So I hope I left room for you to answer
Yeah,
there.
thank you. Appreciate the compliment and the note about the value of our work and the applause. We really do work very hard to fulfill our mission, and it's nice to be recognized, so thank you. With regard to Nashua, I think for many years we've had a reputation as a bedroom community, a place where people have their homes and they drive south to go to work, they commute, they come home. If they are looking for leisure, they're looking elsewhere. That has been progressively changing over many years in many different efforts. The Performing Arts Center is a huge one that changes that narrative. A lot of the work of organizations like Positive Street Art to bring about a whole vibrant scene and different offerings, and a lot of community groups that have been doing things to support families and provide events and parks and recreation and summer fun. We have really all been pulling towards this effort where Nashua is the destination. You live here and you're glad to stick around for your fun and for your food and for your family and for your friends. And I think that we've been moving in that direction. We should continue to move in that direction. In terms of the destination of downtown, so for a number of years there was an effort called Destination Downtown. I think you're right, the Heart of Nashua was kind of this initiative before that. A lot of the organic efforts that came out of that have been really maximized by having a central organization to coordinate the efforts. The Holiday Stroll is a great example of that, where that event, if my history is correct, Al Manoyan, who is the Economic Development Director, or the Downtown Development Director, I'm not sure of his specific title back then, but he got a couple people in Victorian garb and maybe 150 people who were enthusiastic about the downtown and a handful of candles and walked up the sidewalk. And then the next year it was bigger. And the next year it was bigger, and it was such a large initiative. There are so many performers and vendors and different things to coordinate. And also having a nonprofit involved versus the Holiday Stroll program being run by the city creates the potential for a greater involvement of sponsors to support that program and other programs throughout the year. So there's a lot of value and a lot of sense in making that transition and continuing some level of investment where you are not, you're not kind of staffing the whole thing and using the administrative resources that are required to maintain staff, but making an annual allocation to continue to support the broader effort. In terms of the idea of the downtown businesses being of greater support, I would say that we get a great deal of support from the downtown businesses in a wide variety of ways. On the financial side, our Taste of Downtown event generates a net revenue of about $22,000 to $27,000 a year, which is a considerable portion of our operating budget. And that event is paid into by the retail locations that participate. It's not on par with the dues of the Chamber of Commerce, but it's, it's a financial contribution of $150 for them to participate. Our downtown restaurateurs that come and participate in that event, and that does not include like the staff time that's associated with operating the event, being open after hours when they might not normally be, et cetera. And then on the restaurant side, the restaurants, again, not including staff time and all of the other efforts and resources that go into it, are looking at somewhere in the ballpark of like $300 to $700 worth of product that they bring. I would expect that when Surf brings scallops, that number might be pushing a little higher. But that's an example of how the downtown businesses do support us, either directly, financially, or through product and in-kind donations that make our programs possible. The ideal Taste of Downtown would have about 60 businesses, maybe 70. That's what we'll push for next year. But the ideal Taste of Downtown would have about 60 businesses. If we were to look at that as the set of businesses that primarily benefit from the programming that we offer and an operating budget of $170 some odd thousand, you'd be looking at a contribution of about $3,000 per business, which is really just it's not a feasible solution. We do have some of the bigger employers that have supported us over the years. For example, Southern New Hampshire Health is a sponsor for the farmers market, and they contribute $2,500 towards making that program possible. When we do the when we do the winter holiday stroll, we have a target for sponsorships in the territory of $50,000 to $60,000. About 30 to 35,000 of that goes directly into program costs, and the remainder covers it's our primary focus for about 4 months out of every year. So the remainder of that covers our operation to some extent, but those sponsorships, you're looking at Triangle Credit Union, Bar Harbor Bank, a lot of the banks downtown, and some companies from outside of downtown that are enthusiastic about our audience and our work. And so, we talked about charitable gaming as about 30 some odd percent. The city contribution, the annual allocation is about 30 some odd percent. We still have another 40% to make up. About half of that is covered by tickets to the Taste of Downtown, and the remainder through those kinds of contributions. So there are a lot of different ways that organizations and businesses of all size can and do support us. So I think the idea that they don't is not fair to them, and the idea that they should support us to the full extent that we operate, it is really not feasible. It's to do all of the things that we do. I do not see the pockets of our downtown merchants being deep enough to make it happen. We maintain a great value in our downtown. We have full storefronts. There's just a few stragglers that are in need of extensive fit up that are not full. We've got a lot of interest in development downtown. We have a lot of visits that result in meals and rooms tax. So there's a lot of return on investment that the city gets that is so intangible to the individual business owner that the argument that they should be giving more financially is just not one that we could really make effectively. I hope I answered all your points. I'm trying to find if there's any other areas that I haven't addressed.
Yeah, no, thank you. The only other question that came to my mind is, do you have a membership to the downtown merchants belong to the Great American Downtown? Do they pay, a membership fee to, and do you get, are most of them members if you do have that program?
So my philosophy on this is that we provide a very kind of wide net of support for the downtown. Again, the cumulative impact is so far outside of the focus of the downtown businesses that it's really not a discussion that we can have without spending hours kind of enlightening about what that value is. And even if we do, the idea of like a pay-to-play membership organization has its own kind of pitfalls. So we are members of the Chamber of Commerce. They are amazing supporters of our work. Wendy and staff came out to volunteer at the Taste of Downtown and help with registration, and we so appreciate them. And the Chamber of Commerce has its value to its membership. That value is going to be different to each member, whether it's opportunities for business-to-business kind of relationships and building those, the social aspect of it. There's a wide range of benefits that the Chamber of Commerce delivers that are different from what we do. There are businesses that have just come in. There are businesses that have been here for a long time, and they're all varying in size. The Chamber of Commerce has kind of a membership model that's based on corporation size and dues that are reflective accordingly. But for us, I mean, you have Wisconsin Jewelers who's selling diamond rings, and you have Riverwalk Cafe that is selling bagels, and the Riverwalk Cafe might have 20 some odd staff people, but the whole business model is so different than selling jewelry. The price point is different, the target audience is different, the revenue is different. And so for us to go to a set of our broader business list, so like we have maybe about 60 to 80 businesses that are at the core of kind of our regular work. There's well over 200 businesses downtown. I think our current list is at like 185, but it's not anywhere near comprehensive, which is why we're working on kind of updating that. It's I think I lost my train of thought. The basic long and short of it is the businesses are so different, and it would be tough to ask for businesses to give a set fee when that is the case. Instead, we operate events like the Taste of Downtown. Businesses pay $50 to participate in the chocolate stroll to kind of as a collaborative marketing investment. And we ask businesses to participate to the extent that they are able, and sometimes they're not, and we don't hold that against them. We reshare content from all sorts of businesses that were not a part of the Taste of Downtown this year, and we hope to get them involved in a future year. It's really, our focus is so broad that it's not a fair thing to ask for membership dues to enjoy the benefits of what we do. And it's both a investment in economic development, an investment in cultural vibrancy and in community that the city makes. And we hope that that value continues to be seen and that we continue to improve and grow the extent to which we provide that value.
Well, thank you for answering the question.
Any other questions? Alderman Clements?
Thank you. I just want to thank you, Mr. Shea, for coming here. I appreciated the presentation. You do a fantastic job. And I think that, you know, in regards to the city's contribution, I think it's an important aspect because really we're talking about the support of, for the most part, small businesses. And it's really benefiting them, which in turn benefits the entire community. So a small investment of $70,000 a year, I think is well worth it because the economic impact of that is huge. It's well beyond the $70,000 that we spend. All of those businesses that are supported by Great American Downtown through various ways see a return on investment of that's, as you said, intangible. So I think, you know, it's really small dollars that you know, have a great impact on our community and we're all better for it. So it's something that I will continue to support, even if some people in the community don't understand it.
Anybody else? Thank you so much for coming to the committee and presenting. This was great. It's good to see your staffing numbers are up. Doing these types of events is not easy. So the fact that you're able to have a larger staff, I think, is fantastic and will help provide an even better quality. The events that you guys put on is it's what makes our city what it is and what makes lasting memories and make it a great place to raise a family and more than just, as you said, be a bedroom community. So thank you for everything you've done and everything you'll do in the future, and thank you for coming to the committee today.
I have one more slide.
Of course.
Thank you. Really appreciate the invitation, and you know, if you'd like us to join at some frequency, I'd be glad to do that, whether it's annually or what have you. Always glad to update you on what we're working on and how we're connecting with the community. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll finish up tabled in committee.
None.
General discussion? Seeing none. Nobody is here, but public comment. Any member of the public? Seeing nobody. Remarks by Alderman. Seeing none. Alderman Clements.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, we don't have Alderman Moran anymore on Zoom because of the surge, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries, and we are adjourned at 8:52 p.m.